Welcome everyone to the July 13, 2026 Umatilla County Board of Commissioners work session. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome everybody to today's meeting. Today is a work session, and there will be no actions taken today, but it is a recorded meeting and can be attended virtually also. Any additions to the agendas, Nick or Doug? Commissioners? None? All right, let's get started then today. First of all, welcome Phyllis and Mike and George. The Echo Heritage Association, something very dear to my heart, a location that I attended everything from catechism to church chat. So, floor is all yours.
Mister, I did bring a PowerPoint, but I didn't realize I was to mail it. And this young man is still trying, I think, to get us on it. I'm sorry? 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
I wonder if we might go down the agenda just slightly.
Nope. The next agenda item may take a while, so we're going to go ahead and get settled in,
Well,
and we'll get rolling. Why don't you give us a little background, Mike, while you're waiting on the presentation?
So, I just want to irritate John.
So there is a handout, and I hope there's enough for all those who need it. And in the handout, we actually have,
He doesn't have.
Oh, no, Bob doesn't.
in the middle, there's a copy with the slides on it. They're kind of small. There's not a lot of slides. There's also the survey map. That's one that Steve Haddock did. And then the back is the numbers. The introductory page and the introductory comments on page 2 kind of help to estimate the scope of what we're facing.
Mike, why don't you even take a couple steps further back and explain how you guys got started and what the kind of the vision is, and then we can roll into what you are doing. How's that?
Okay,
Yeah.
happy to do it. Yep. So,
And George and I can help fill in here.
Exactly. That's what I was
I
saying.
actually all hung up on Dan's basic religious training. And it will be judged on that.
That's right.
someday. In 2015, that old church in Echo outside of town there was just falling down. I mean, not falling down structurally, but in terms of the quality of its condition, the birds were getting in, there was a huge mess. And somebody went over there, Joe Ramos and Phyllis, and looked at that owl.
Just me, not Joe.
And she says, you know, what a lovely owl. And the owl's telling me, you know what, that building. He said, and it was her that came to the Kiwanis meeting and said, we can do something about this. We threw a big party. It was an Oktoberfest. We raised some money. And with the in-kind combined with that money, we were able to establish some kind of a toehold on stopping the degradation of the old church. Most everybody that looks at this old church, it's an old Catholic church. It's called St. Peter's, just outside of town. And they all say the same thing, basically. What a beautiful place. It's a travesty that somebody isn't doing something about it. So with the money then, we cleaned it up, took away the vegetation, put windows in it. Oh, So Clean came out, donated a lot of time professionally getting rid of what the birds had left us. And then the question was, well, what do you do with an old church? Well, the Kiwanis wasn't in a position really to do it. Kiwanis doesn't do buildings usually, and especially not historic preservation. So we decided that from a core group, there would be Joe Ramos and Chris Betancourt, Phyllis and myself, and then a few others. Rich Snow, his sister Denise, and Gary West, who lived out on Butter Creek, made the first board happen. And we decided that a new organization should take this up. Kiwanis arranged for the first, bless you, young man. Go ahead, hit the space bar. Really impressed me. Sure. Oh, cheers. That one. Thank you. Here's the things I came to talk about today. Here's a picture of the old church. Inside, that gentleman is actually a priest from Alaska. They were visiting that day. And we're going to give you a brief recap, which is exactly what Commissioner Dorn has asked for. We want to talk about the Echo Community Benefit Plan Board, which I understand has gone down. The back lots, which thanks to George and Doug Olson now belong to the church. And then the preparation of those lots, and then to indicate something about our mutual benefits. So somebody please go like this, and I have 5 minutes, because I can rattle on forever about this. Okay. How about the next slide there?
Dan's pretty good about keeping people on task.
Okay. Next slide, please. So here's what we had in 2017. The paper reported for us. And this in 2020 is what we came up with after the board got together. Now, some of you know Brenda Turner. She got a friend of hers named Ron Bryant, an attorney, and Ben. That gentleman set us up and very, very well, and got us through the 501c3 process. And so with this being our staff, our mission statement, we got established in 2018, where we're going to the next slide. And here it is. Joe, myself, Gary, Phyllis, Chris, we're all going to decide we're going to have this. We had a lot of ideas, but we had absolute zero. No money, no deed, just we want to fix it. Next slide. Now, we have a policy at the Echo Heritage not to share our numbers, except stakeholders have unrestricted access via the treasurer. The county is actually a stakeholder. So I took the liberty of telling you where we are today. We've had a number of projects along the way, not the least of which has been the annual fundraiser. We have an annual mailing. We have an open house or two every once in a while. And in the course of these few years, these 8 years, we came up with what's actually printed for you on the handout on the last 2 pages. So to cut to the chase, and forgive me, Mr. Dorn, if I should have filled in some more blanks on the way in.
You're good.
But here's where we were on Saturday. This is raw data from the QuickBooks, but it's reconciled through June. It's pretty current stuff. And I'll go over it briefly. We have a checking account. All the money goes out of there. An endowment. We believe that 100 years from now, the church is still going to want to be here. We're going to want it to be here. We're going to take care of it, so it is. And we think people are still going to look at that beautiful church and say, we just love this place. We think, however, that the likelihood that this project is going to last isn't too good unless there's money. So we're starting now to build them down. This is where the money goes in. Notice we have some sub-accounts. Those are dedicated funds. In this site clearing grant, amongst that 27.6, there's a $2,200 figure that came from the county to help us figure out where to put water and sewer. The receivables are people who have pledged. And here's the back lots, which we were fortunate enough to purchase recently, thanks to George and Doug Olson. For $50,000, the St. Peter's site, the 45,570, that was what was, I believe, the RMV when we got the property actually deeded from the church. So that puts us here, what we've been up to. Notice the first item over here on the revenue has a little asterisk. And in our books, we keep track of in time with this. And we've learned recently from our friends at the Ford Family Foundation that this is important. There's actually an organization in the country that goes ahead and calculates what the value of a volunteer service hour is. I checked it this morning. Now they're saying it's $34.16. They adjust it every now and then. We kept track of our volunteer service hours for quite a while. And so that, along with everything else like gravel and materials and chemicals and whatever else we use that was contributed in kind, that donation from OSO teams, that's inside. It's about 25, a little over a quarter of our revenues for the 8 years we've been in existence is in kind. There's where the money went. You add the 198 to the 1,000 and it does balance out. So basically, that's the, in 8 years, we went from zero to this, and the church is still in pretty good shape. We've had a few weddings there, first services ever in the last probably 3-4 decades. And people are taking interest. People come by the old church every week, even though we're not even open. Sometimes we get calls or emails. I'm gonna be in town. I'd like to, so we give them a little tour. So that's the background. How am I doing, sir?
You're doing good. One real quick
Yes,
question, Mike, is, we need to explain what the relationship is with the Catholic Church now.
The church was deeded after 3 good long years. The church was deeded to the Echo Heritage Association. It used to belong to another organization called the Fort Henrietta Foundation. They tried, but they couldn't do it. Well, in the back of the deed, recorded publicly, there are, I think, seven conditions. And essentially what it says, the commissioner is as long as you treat it respectfully, you can have it. Now, if they want to have a service there, they can. There have been a few people approach, then they check the weather forecast, they say, oh, we're gonna take it somewhere else. Because there's still no heat, there's never been water, no plumbing. But they're welcome to if they want.
But what I was getting at is,
Okay.
this is a non-denominational, non-religious, and the 501c3 is not a religious.
No, sir, and we are a community-based organization,
Yep, that's what I was,
strictly community-based.
thank you, Mike.
Absolutely.
I thought that's what you were headed on.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for clarifying. Another one I want to clarify too up front is that when you look at that plat, you look at the survey, it looks like we're in the city of Echo. And back when the Leasers baked that plat, so I'm sure they were thinking, "Wait, it never has been." So the site is in county jurisdiction. I'll be very clear about it. Another reason for being here. It's about time we caught up with our supervising agency. Any other questions?
Mike, that was great. What about George and Phyllis? Do you guys have,
Well, one of the things that we might point out is with the acquisition of those 3 lots behind the church, one of the advisors along the way said, you know, sometimes it's easier to raise money when it doesn't look like it's just for a church. And so our proposal right now is, if you go to that one page where you see the rendering of the church, and we see a little building in the back. Well, that proposed building was based on us acquiring 1 lot. And what we're talking about now is we have 3 lots. So we're proposing to build a senior/community center. Echo doesn't have anything like that. Anytime somebody wants to have a meeting or an event, we do have the 2 wineries. We have the upstairs of City Hall, which is not easily accessible for a lot of people. And we decided that that was another way to keep income, keep people coming back to that area so that we had more visibility for the church. One of the things that Michael said is that I got a call the other day from somebody. I answered the phone and they sent a text and the woman said, how much does it cost for a tour? And I said, there's no charge for a tour, you know, donations are welcome. And I said, by the way, who is it? She said, oh, I got your phone number off of Facebook. And so I decided to call you. And she's from Idaho.
oh, wow.
And so we frequently have people just stop by. I think there's hardly a time Michael's not down there pulling weeds or doing something. There aren't people that come by. So there's quite a bit of interest, but that's our big idea at this point, is to continue the restoration of the church, but to go forth and build this senior community center. George?
My major involvement has been the lots behind and working with Doug and others. And the county has done an amazing job of cooperating with this project so that we could secure those 3 lots. I wish they looked like the rendering up there. They do not. And if you are wondering what it looks like, I will give a guided tour of that old trailer there. We took a shower afterwards, but the lot right now, it's poised for renovation. So it's a wonderful location. We have nice neighbors.
Maybe they
It can be a wonderful addition to the church. Yeah, but I think that's one of the important next steps is to clear that lot of what are, I believe, uninhabitable dwellings.
We have,
If they're inhabitable, I
And
don't
if
want to meet the
anybody-
people
I get a slideshow for Rachel and encouraged her to go out and take the same tour, but I don't think anybody else has.
I can't believe you even went inside.
I went room by room, and it was horrible.
Absolutely.
Somebody had just been moved out, so.
Yeah, and they've been back since.
The one,
They're gone now.
the one thing I thank you guys very, very much. To me, it's near and dear to my heart, for sure. But the one thing I do want to say to kind of pay attention to, and I was just talking to Bob about this, and George will help you out on this, but the original church is still kind of in that floodplain area, but your new property is not. And there's not as many restrictions on that as there would be on the existing property for new construction. But it's just something to keep in your mind as you.
And frankly, sir, that's where we're headed.
And you know, the last flood, if you look at the aerial views, everything around the church was flooded. And the church did not flood.
Thank goodness for all those junk trailers because they make really good dikes.
They soaked up the water.
Well, I have 3 requests. I couldn't come to the commissioners without asking for something. Can we go back to the previous slide, please?
Yeah, there's one.
Okay, this is Mackenzie Road. These are documents from the city hall. We developed a project called Petrichor, protecting Echo's treasured resources of agricultural cultivation. I wrote a grant to the Echo Community Benefit Plan Board asking for some money about this, and I got it ready just in time to get on the next commissioners meeting and see that it didn't exist anymore. But I did hear that there may be funding somewhere that could be appropriated to organizations like us who have been awarded in the past. Is that so? And what do I have to do to get involved?
Community development grants.
Yeah,
And Bob's in charge.
so I can just briefly touch on those. So Umatilla County receives lottery dollars from the state. So video lottery dollars come in from the state. And those dollars are required to be spent on economic and community development initiatives. And so several years ago, the commissioners identified a grant program that they wanted to get out to our communities, nonprofits, businesses that are looking to grow or expand, and came up with this grant program. So there's 2 pots of money that we award funds for: community development, which will be a project like this, or a project that's going to benefit the community. So that this would certainly be eligible for those types of grants. It's not a lot of money. It's around 100,000 that we award twice a year to various entities. So there's a spring funding cycle and a fall cycle. The fall cycle, the deadline for those grants is the first Friday in October. And I can get you the application materials and solicitation guide that talks about the program, but I think this would be definitely a good fit for those types of grants.
And those applications, we try to keep in the range of $10,000 each, so that we have money that gets spread.
Very well, we'll do that.
Yeah.
The next slide is showing the survey that Steve did. This is that building you were talking about just a moment ago, back in right here. This is standing right here on this lot line. The old church sits here. There's a map that's also in your packet that shows these details. So the old church sits here, and then there's a rectangle around this alley here and around this Cherry Street, which is platted. But as near as we can tell, neither have ever been used. The neighbors have been very cooperative on both sides. And my dad did a vacate back 40 years ago, and that was my introduction. I thought, well, I wonder if we could vacate this. I looked it up, and I started circulating some news. This is the view. Here's where our property line currently is, right behind this little weed. And this is the view looking down the current line. Now, we're going to remove all this vegetation and all this other junk that's in here that George was mentioned earlier. So we put the line there. Over the steel post is 7.5 feet, which would be half of the 15-foot alleyway that's here. That's where we'd like to put it. It's our preference. We can work with an alley too. Don't want to, but we can and will. we're gonna ask for a vacate here. We're also gonna ask for a vacate here on Cherry Street. Now Sally Hansel has this in her office. I understand she's made some inquiries. And my next question is, this is my second one. How do you feel about vacating?
Go through the process
Which is,
through land use.
Yeah.
okay,
In
so we're
this
doing the right
case,
thing?
so this is a platted subdivision, so I believe the process would be, you would need to apply to replat the subdivision to vacate those roads. That's my initial response. I'd have to look at it in a little more detail to confirm that.
Bob,
Maybe
generally
legal counsel, would you agree with that?
I think the alley Cherry Street, I think could be done through a regular vacating process.
A vacation process? Okay.
Is that in the city there on Cherry or is that?
No, sir, all of this.
Everything on
This
that
whole
side.
thing never was in the city. And, you know, as of recently, we did bring it up again. There's no intention to bring this inside the city limits.
Yeah, it's actually zoned exclusive farm use out there. It's just an old platted subdivision that
Uh-oh.
predates land use, and for whatever reason, they applied rural resource zoning to it, so.
So I'm back with Bob again.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lastly. Please, okay, so here's the rendition we had done. And this was done in 2020, like I said, at that time, we were looking at just one lot, but now there's three. And so this winter, once we get that whole piece flattened out, get the new well in, take care of whatever questions we have to deal with the sanitary. We're gonna meet with our architect, that's Mark Cedar Architecture and Urban Design, and come up with what we're really going to do now. The property's in hand, again, thanks to Doug Olson and George. And we have the old church, of course. We're starting to get an idea of where the challenges are, the boundaries are, the issues we have to address, including the flood. And we're gonna put that on a big pot this winter and come out with, this is what we're really gonna do now. So I think, next slide is just, that's who we are. Okay? And I really hope that you can look at this as being mutual interest. It sounds like the feedback's been very positive so far. We want to see this historical icon maintained. We know that it can't sustain itself. The business model suggests that unless we get a huge endowment, we need to build another building. With that, then we can piggyback the maintenance and see them both go through for another 100 years.
Perfect, Mike. Thank you guys very much. George,
you.
Phyllis, thank you guys very much.
We need to move that.
I would love to stay, but I'm not.
Good to see
Something
you.
tells me you're not being completely honest with that statement, but.
It's okay if I unplug this.
Yeah.
Some of the things that recently happened at the church is we had a new cross built. A 12-foot structure that was built by an expert craftsman and was installed. Remember when it was super windy here a while ago? But we found a day that, it was only slightly windy. And had a wonderful dedication ceremony. And that's all been privately and through grants funded. And somebody who was involved in picking that cross up, and with an old friend, and the cross gets me emotional, sorry, sends us $12,000.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so, it's like, okay, we know you need help. And so he came down, they picked up the cross, which was literally, the old one was falling apart. They took it eventually to Oregon City, but we just got the check.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. My wife thanks you too. She loves having me find somewhere.
Phyllis says that about Mike too, so I'm not gonna say that while they're both here.
This afternoon to go back up to the fire.
Got back up in the tower.
Yeah.
Or you can expect big fires.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank
All right.
I see
Thank
you,
you.
Mike.
Thank you. Next item, Mike or Kevin, the sanitary disposal rate increase.
What is Phyllis's last name?
Phyllis.
Oh. I didn't get it.
You have mine. I have all.
Oh, there we go.
Welcome, Kevin. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I need to do my address.
Probably should. One time and we'll cover it for the meeting.
Kevin Miracle, Sanitary Disposal, 81144 North Highway 395, Hermiston, Oregon.
Shayna Lilly, Sanitary Disposal, 456 23rd Avenue, Longview, Washington, 98632.
I gotta ask, do you come here just for these meetings or do you have to come here for the office for other things too?
I usually take some time going to the office after, but yeah. I left, I think at 4 this morning.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
forceful.
You know, boutique hair flies right into Pendleton, just saying.
All right, Bob, you want to give us a lead?
Yeah, I can. So as you're aware, we were approached by Sanitary Disposal for a rate increase for, what that was proposed was to go into effect July 1. We went through the process. It's required by our ordinance to present, the request to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. They made a recommendation to the board, to approve the rate increase. We also did the required notice in the newspaper, and we did not receive any remonstrances to the proposed request. We met with the commission back in, I think it was at the end of May or beginning of June, and presented the proposal. And it was a good discussion, but the commissioners asked for it to be brought back to a work session again. I think Waste Connections wanted to gather some more information around budget and things like that to be able to justify the rate increase. There was also discussion at that meeting about providing service for county roads versus public roads versus private roads. In the end, as you know, at a previous meeting, the commissioners prepared a letter and sent to Waste Connections asking them to not charge for a drive-in fee at this time. And I understand you guys have made some changes to that. So that's kind of where we left off at the last work session. It hasn't gone back to the board yet for a decision. So the purpose of today is to just, again, a work session. No decision will be made on the rate increase today, but that's where we're at.
Since it is a work session, let me ask Kevin and Kendra, how do you guys want to do this? Do you guys want to discuss the county road discussion, the drive-in discussion, the rates? And I see this, the way I read this, we're only discussing collection, or are we also the transfer station?
The transfer station also.
Okay, so how do you guys want to have the discussion?
So to start off with the drive-in, I want to apologize for my misinterpretation of it with my background. So as far as I know, that's done. We've credited back the 54 customers. I don't think that I've received the letter yet. I may be mistaken, but I don't know if I have. I just want to make sure that I'm following whatever the letter says. But yeah, the drive-ins, county roads, that's all put to bed in my eyes. If we decide that we want to charge, we'll go through the proper channels, which is getting SWAC first. But right now I'm completely tabling that. And
So nobody's getting that fee.
nobody's getting that fee. Everybody's been credited back. It happened before the meeting that I spoke online, the last one you guys had. So
Yeah. If you might recall, the discussion revolved around on their fee schedule, there was not a drive-in fee, there was a walk-in fee.
Right.
And so there was a discussion around interpretation of that fee.
Yeah.
And Kevin did notify me, like he said, they have credited back those folks that they charged the drive-in
And we're not
fee.
charging that moving forward.
We've also had meetings with our customer service teams, our operations teams, and really drove home the point that what is on the franchise is what we are to charge. So none of our customer service representatives who are working with customers will charge anything outside of what is specifically specified in our rate schedules that we have approved by law. So we did our due diligence with our customers and then also with our staff as well, so that we took care of the issue on all fronts.
So you clarified a walk-in fee. Is that a separate than the drive-in fee? Is that like?
Yeah, so what we found was it varies by franchise. So some franchises charge a drive-in fee, some charge a walk-in fee. I think Humbert's call it something different. Commissioner Timmons had inquired with them, and I can't remember what the term they use.
A lane charge.
A lane charge.
But different on the agreement itself.
Yeah, so I guess the main point is they're not charging a drive-in fee to go down a private road to pick up someone's garbage.
I can see that, like, as you cleaned up,
Maybe on all.
be more consistent.
Yeah, and that might be something that we could take to the SWAC and have them approve, like, across the board terminology for each franchise, so we're kind of the same. I'll make note of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, we didn't have that.
Good question.
I think that was, at least that was it on the drive-in versus walk-in, that we've fixed it, and we're doing that moving forward unless we go through the proper channels.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So now let's go to the collection rates and start there. And the request is 14% at this point. Again, the information that you handed out, we gave that back. I'm not sure that's clear to us on how that affects the collection rate itself. We looked at some of your increase in expenses, normal, basically increases. And so I'm just going to leave that there and then ask the other commissioners if they want to get started with comments.
And Bob has.
And Dan, if I could real quick, Kevin asked me to look back over time as to what the rate increase history was, because prior to Waste Connections purchasing the company, they didn't necessarily have all that information. So I compiled what I had dating back to 2012. Waste Connections acquired Sanitary Disposal in 2021. So I can share this with folks, but if you have one in, so it just shows the history of rate increases over time for the Sanitary Disposal entity.
Do we have the current rates for the other franchises?
I have that, we provided it last time.
Yeah, we
There
got a
was
lot.
stuff to not put that again.
Comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can rattle it off to you really quick.
I'll take it.
Okay, so we're in Umatilla County for a 90-gallon rate at 28.86. We've got City of Hermiston at 30.07. West Richland at 35.93. Pendleton Sanitary at 35.85. We've got Morrow County 28.97.
What's Morrow County?
28.97.
28.97.
And then we've got City of Umatilla at 30.81.
Do-
And
I'm sorry, can we get a copy of that? I mean,
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
I can go make
Yeah.
one real quick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
probably better than me rattling it off.
yeah, I want to turn around. Like, what was that?
What was Umatilla County again?
28.86.
And the reason that Morrow County is at that rate is because they don't have to pay for the trash to be transferred from our location in Umatilla County to the landfill. They get the landfill rate because we take it there, so there's no transloading. Sure. So that's the same kind of with Boardman too. Boardman and Irrigate get a different rate because all that just passes straight through Finley.
Well, and you just went through this with Morrow County, right?
Not Morrow County, we're going back at them, again for this year's increase, so.
Okay.
And part of our, like, understanding that we're not asking for more than we believe is warranted. We're, I believe, 20 to 25% lower in our rates than other Umatilla County haulers, right? And so this request would put us within about 10% of the other haulers in the same exact area servicing very similar customers. Because with the 14%, it would put that 95 gallon from 2886 to 32 and some odd change.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate
Oh, yeah, you
it.
bet.
We're not asking to outpace anyone else in the same community.
Thank you.
Thank you. That, I do appreciate that. The west end of Umatilla County and the east end of Umatilla County are two totally geographically different areas, so that's not quite, it's not quite apples to apples.
Well, that's why we're still 10% lower, right? So without the racks.
So my comments are the same as they've always been, to say the least, is looking back from the time that it was, your company was purchased, or Waste Connections purchased the agreement, the franchise. The rate of increases and the requests have been exorbitant. And every time that, like last year at 15%, I mean, we had a pretty in-depth discussion at 15%, where to establish your EBITDA and your EBIT, and it was right at 10%. Now, I'm not sure how we come back the next year with the CPI 2.87, and you need another 14% increase to stay at 10%. I mean, if you can explain that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so the financial model we did last year showing us getting 30%, that's what put us to that 10% EBIT.
No. We had the discussion at 15% to get you to 10%. The 30%, we never had a discussion on that on the EBIT at all.
It was a hope that we were gonna get to that 10% and.
No,
And I
the discussion was the 15% would get you to 10%.
I don't remember it that way, but
That's
what I do
exactly how I
remember, I
remember.
do remember Derek saying we appreciate the 15%, but we'll be back again next year, most likely requesting the 15% and rerunning the financials again. We came in at 14%, so.
That's absolutely not how I remember it, and I have my notes, and it was a great discussion, and I thought we broke it down pretty good. I wish we would have broke it down further, but we also made the comment that don't come back for more than 3%. So we're right back to where we've been since day one.
Who's gonna jump in, I think?
Yeah, we've got Derek on the
Oh,
line.
Derek? Because he has a hand up.
Yeah, he's got his hand raised.
Derek, go ahead. You're on mute, Derek. Hold on, can't hear you. Is there a calling number?
I can call and put them on speakerphone. I don't know if that's.
I think there's a calling
There is.
number on the.
Yeah.
So sometimes, Derek, if you jump off and jump back on, it'll come back in. If you were on before we opened.
You come off, come back on, so it's done.
Yeah, I don't, there. No. Can you dial in? You have a phone right there, Derek? That'd be great. Thank you. While he's doing that, one of the issues that using municipal as comparatives is they use their franchise fees a whole lot different than we do.
Mhm.
So an increase for them is also an increase in their franchise fees. So that affects their budget different. And they use that money different than the county does. So using municipal comparatives are not always an apple to apple relationship.
We can take those out and just use the county ones then.
Yeah, so even in comparison with the county. But I think at the end of this, right, we came in last year asking for 30% for a reason. We went to our other bill areas and the other areas that we service for 37.5% for a reason, right? And so last year when we came in with that 30%, that was we did a full extensive financial review, like hours and hours and hours. And that 30% is what we showed would get us to the 10% keep it. And so all we want to do, we're not looking to price out our customers. We're not looking to like make the most amount of money possible. We just want to get to that financial stability point. So then we can just come in for CPI. We've proven that with every other area that's agreed to the 37.5%. And we want to move forward with you guys as well. We want to work together. We want to make our service as best as we can for our customers, but also working with you guys to the best of our capability to improve anywhere we can. We've invested millions of dollars in trucks to bring the average age of the trucks from 1998 when we bought it in the company in
Okay,
2021.
stop again. We didn't take that risk. We didn't take those expenses.
I understand, but what I'm
So-
saying is that we want to provide great service to our customers with reliable trucks.
And the customers never had complaints before you guys. So it's not that they weren't being serviced before.
We do have to upgrade the fleet, though. I mean, we can't continue.
I understand that,
And
but
there is a cost to that. We can't continue with older trucks. They end up costing more if we hold on to them. So
without a doubt, I agree. But I'm not managing your fleet. I mean, I'm not saying how many trucks. I'm not telling you how fast you have to depreciate them. None of that. I'm just telling you that when you bought the franchise, that there was a rate that we did not get complaints of customer service at all. My phone never rang on customer service. In the first year, Kevin came in at 5.5%. We didn't even have much of a discussion. We thought that was a little high. But Kevin told us, and I know that you're going to say that I was new and stuff, but that was where we were going to land. The next year, you came in at 12.42% request. Over double the year before that was going to be our last large increase. The next year, again, 12.5%. And we gave you the 12.42. So the first 2 years you were in business, we gave you over 18% in the first 2 years. That's an incredible amount of money in 2 years for a new franchise. The next year, we said, no, we're going to have this discussion. And we didn't give you CPI. CPI that year was 5.8. We gave you 7%. Again, well above CPI after an established over 18%. The next year, you came in and last year came in and asked for 30%. We spent almost 2 hours going through books and questions. And we established that the 15% would get you to 10%. If we wouldn't have established that, my recommendation would have been going all the way down to 3%. And that was part of our discussion when we had it. Now you're back again for a 14% increase. You guys, can you see it from our side?
Yeah, I can, but I think we were completely clear at the last meeting when you were digging through the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we were gonna come back for that 15% because it wasn't gonna get us where we needed to be.
The 15% got you to 10%. We told you don't come back with more than 3%.
I don't remember it that way, and it didn't get us to the 10%.
It did. In the conversation, it did. And we had the numbers broke down. Derek, go ahead.
Oh, I can't.
No,
You're still
no,
muted.
are you-
Can't hear you.
I thought he dialed in.
Mute button
helps. How about now?
There.
Welcome.
Hallelujah. Hey, thanks. Derek Ranter with Waste Connections, 808 Washington Street, Vancouver, Washington, 98660. With all due respect, we did come in for 30% last year, and you were gracious to give us the 15%, but we did tell you, and I specifically said it, and Kevin's right, when we were in that meeting, that we thank you for the 15%, but it still would not get us to that number. I think you had the opinion that it would, and that was your opinion at the time, but our numbers and our financial model did not show that. Our goal is to get to a reasonable rate of return on the contract, which is what the franchise reads. So we're just trying to uphold how the franchise reads and try and get to a reasonable rate of return, which is somewhere between 8 and 12%. And so when we left that room, we said, okay, thank you for the 15%, but we're probably going to be back next year again for another 15%. And I distinctly remember that as part of the meeting that we had. And so the 14% that we're asking for this year is close to that 15%. We did make up a little bit, made up 1%, but that's why we're back again, is we did not resolve this issue. And I understand you feel like the rates have been exorbitant over time, and I want to be empathetic to that. But we're just trying to, look at the contract. We've gone through SWAC. We've gone to the appropriate process to have a rate review for this. SWAC, is the industry standard, and they reviewed our rates and they feel that this is reasonable. So that's our request on this.
Can I,
Go ahead, Cindy.
I have a question for anybody who wants to answer. If we gave you the 14% rate increase, you would be the highest across the board in all areas. How do you justify that?
Are we talking which rates?
All of them.
So the new 90-gallon rate would be 32.89, which would not put us the highest across the board, is what I'm seeing.
How, unless you're looking at something different, you'd be the highest.
Well,
The
if you
same with the commercial containers for for the 1.5 yard container and the 2 yard container, you would be the highest across the board.
Well, if you look at the new rate for a 90-gallon, if it was approved, it'd be 32.89. In Wasco County, it's 40.97. Warren County.
Cindy, do you mean in Umatilla County, you would be the highest? But I think that's what you mean,
Yes.
right?
So in Umatilla County, we have Pendleton at
I guess
35.85
Pendleton.
and Pilot Rock at 43.25 for the 90-gallon service. So that would still put us as one of the lowest in Umatilla County.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see these. Mine are blanked out on here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I apologize. The way it's scanned came across funny.
So it's Robert's fault.
Okay.
So does that mean Pendleton will get dropped down to 32.09?
That's a different discussion.
Here's my problem.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't see those alarms.
And maybe it's the way we went through the numbers. I don't know. And maybe just throwing this out for discussion, maybe one of the solutions is that the county pays for a third-party auditor, and we get a true audit back to the transfer date. And then we could have an opportunity to break down allocations and those type of numbers. So that we're comfortable, however it ends up, whether it may say you need a 20% increase. It may say you need at least in our opinion, because they're not going to give us a recommendation. They're just going to tell us what the numbers are. So we can have those discussions. But I know something like that would take time. And I would definitely not be adverse to a 3% increase and then move forward with a third party audit. So instead of us arguing about numbers, because I definitely interpreted them a whole lot different than Derek and you did, obviously, even though we sat at the same table, even how they were allocated, obviously. So,
And SWAC has reviewed these rates, so SWAC has already performed that third-party review function for you on your behalf.
that's not a third-party review, that's an in-house review. But yes,
In-house. Sorry, it's not a Waste Connections review is what I mean.
yeah, and I know it would be a burden on Waste Connections too, and that's why I would like, and I'm not saying that's what we end up doing, I'm just saying that may be a solution so that we don't have to have these discussions every year.
Maybe we talk to SWAC and we can base everything off CPI once we get to where we need to be. And then there aren't these big jumps because everything would be tied to CPI.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if the franchisees are necessarily going to be interested in, because it has, like we were talking about earlier on the drive-in fees, I think we have to be consistent across the franchises. So I don't think it can go to a true CPI model because you never know what's going to happen in the world. But I think a reasonable rate of return is in the contract, which is enough. And then a third-party auditor could establish what a reasonable rate of return is.
Yeah, and so, I mean, that's a thought. So think about that. I have no problem getting you the 3% as quickly as possible, because I know we've delayed it. So,
I would like to push back on that. We do want to move this forward. We do want to move to a more consistent model. What we're asking for today with the 14% puts that pretty much to bed of these large increases unless the world goes crazy. On average, this would impact our customers by $4 a month, this rate increase. The majority of our customers are 90-gallon customers.
let me explain this. $4 a month, we'll have to, our public works and our code enforcement will keep picking up trash.
It didn't happen the last
It
time.
did. It did.
None of this came across my desk. Where did this happen at?
We had on Ott Road, we had trash picked up as just one example. It does
Yeah,
happen.
we don't know who, I mean, it could have been somebody from Washington. We don't know where that's coming from. And having one doesn't,
I just use that as an example.
yeah.
I
But
can
I
go
mean,
back
even
to-
then, if somebody gives me a call and go, hey, Kevin, we're cleaning this up. Hey, bring it in. You can dump it for free. It's not, I mean,
They're not gonna call you.
We want to, huh?
They're not gonna call you, they're gonna call me.
Well, regardless, I'm here to help. I'm not, I just feel like we really got pigeonholed, or at least I did with us coming in, being the big corporation. And that's not who we are. I'm here to help. I was listening to, the guy talking about the church, and I want Waste Connections to donate to that stuff. It's just, we're not this horrible big mean company. Did I screw up on drive-in? Yeah, I totally misinterpreted it. But the end result is I want to do the right thing for the right customer, but we also have to make, a decent margin, and we are just not there.
Well, with the same exact passion, that's where we sit, is we're trying to justify to the constituents in Umatilla County these large increases every year. And that is extremely tough to do, especially in this economy and with other utilities rates. You go through a water increase rate of 5% and the world's coming to an end.
Let me jump in for just a second, if I could. And I hear what you're saying about the $4 a month, and that number doesn't scare me. But what does scare me is tacked on to $8 a month. And I realize that's not you, that's the state, and I'm
Thank you for that.
totally giving you a pass on that. But the consumer doesn't recognize that. Our constituents, what they see is $12 a month more out of their pocket, And so, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about is, you know, the 8 plus the 4. And, you know, now we're talking $12 a month. And a lot of these folks are on fixed incomes and, you know, they're on the struggle bus. Yeah. So, but that's just one more thing that we're thinking about too. So.
Totally understandable.
And again, I totally understand that $80 is not,
I think my goal is I want us to all be able to move forward and have, you know, be able to put this conversation behind us. And so we need to get closer to that 14%, to have our rates closer in comparison with the other haulers in the area and be able to be making at least that 8% even.
Well, and maybe a third party points that out, and maybe it's more. I can't answer that. Obviously we didn't.
What happens if it's more though? What's second?
And then I think that you have to bring that in as a presentation that SWAC can bring it to us. Then we have the ability to justify it to our constituents. Right now, they're just dependent on dumb old farm boy and me on trying to figure out the same numbers and come to the same numbers as you guys and Derek.
Really quick.
Obviously, we didn't. I thought we agreed when we left, and obviously there's a different interpretation.
Play the tape back.
But can I ask you a question? Bob mentioned we published the 40% increase in the paper. We did not hear anything back. He did not hear anything back. Is there any gravity to that for you guys?
What paper did you read?
Well, Bob mentioned that there was no.
So the paper of record is the East Oregonian.
Yeah. So I rest my case.
Yeah.
It has no gravity to me.
I'm with Shane. I think, you know, we do need an increase, and 3% is just kicking us down the road again. And then it's just gonna end up costing more in the long run. And Dan, I get it. You know, I understand where you're coming from in phone calls, but we're not, as much as it seems like it, we're not asking for anything crazy. We're just trying to get to where we're somewhat healthy. And, you know, we're not looking to ride on anybody's back, you know. We just need to be able to work in healthy margins.
I'm not the one who bought the franchise and you receive 40% increases in 4 years. So that at some point, I've got to say, whoa, are we partners with Waste Connection if we're giving them this much money? Or do we get to make a call on who the drivers are and stuff? And we don't want to do that. But right now, we are extremely heavily invested into Waste Connection and their rates to the constituents that we can't justify.
Well, I'd understand that if our rates were above and beyond everybody's, they're not though.
They're above and beyond the person that was paying it last month. And that's the key. That's the constituent. The guy in the middle of Hermiston or middle of Pendleton's not calling me on a rate increase in the unincorporated area. So I'm looking for a solution. And if we can come up with numbers, if we can have a breakdown by a third party and look at those numbers, then we have the ability to justify what our constituents see. And that's just me. I'm just one commissioner, but I'd also like to get you an increase sooner than later. Now, obviously, when the meeting comes up, we still have the 14% on the books. That's what the motion says. So the discussion will continue at a board commission meeting. But you guys, anything else to add?
well, and the SWAC, remind me, Kevin, I think the SWAC justified your 14%, was that right?
Every time that we've requested something, they have approved it. And this is based off, you know, there's a lot of years of experience on the SWAC committee. And every year they agreed to what we were bringing them. We brought them our financials and how much we're spending and the comparative rates in other counties and other providers in the county.
not to steal Dan's line, but I I'm more focused on our county and not the other counties, but.
Well, you look at Pendleton picks up in Umatilla County and
You're right.
so.
Will SWAC be here, Bob?
Um,
Or a rep from SWAC?
we could have a rep if you'd like me to see if someone is available.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
We haven't replaced Mike McHenry yet, so, it would be the co-chair. Thanks, Klaus.
I have a question. Are you opposed to having a third-party auditor come in and take a look at your books?
Derek, that's a question for you.
No, I mean, we do it in a lot of our municipalities that we work with. That's kind of the system they have set up. Columbia County on the other side of the state has an outside entity. They'll come in and review things. And, it's quite common for that to be a rate model. Our staff that put together these rate cases work with those individuals all the time. So they're, the models that we use are the same. And I think they'll find, that our numbers are solid. So there's no concern.
Okay, so I think that if we have a third-party auditor come in and take a look at your books, I don't think that we need to be looking at other counties. I don't think we need to be looking at other franchises and doing comparative rate. I think we just need to be looking at you and what you're doing and making sure that you're operating, in the black, of course, but, looking at it from our point of view, you're right. The way I remember that meeting was, don't come back now, you hear? And I remember Kevin saying, I won't be back. Yeah, you don't have to worry about
I think
that.
Kevin said I don't want to come back, but.
And so here we are. And so I think that, if there was a third-party auditor that came in and took a look, and then we're just focusing on you and your business and not everybody else around you.
The only reason that we bring in everybody else around us is because it's in the franchise agreement that's part of the package. So we're not bringing this in just going, look at us. It's part of the franchise agreement.
No, that's
We
true.
request.
It
That
is,
makes
I
sense.
think, in the
That
ordinance.
makes sense.
Yeah, in the ordinance.
But
It
all I
is?
know is.
Okay.
It's just one of the variables that we have to look at.
It's one of the, okay, so explain that.
So we have a solid waste ordinance, and in there it talks about fee increases and the process you go through to evaluate those and make an informed decision. And so that's one of the criteria that the SWAC and the commissioners can look at, or comparisons from.
And that's a historical.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Comparisons from other franchises or service areas.
And that makes sense too.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All I know is if you guys can come in here, we're gonna have to start charging you rent.
You try to figure out you can pay my gas.
Ready to move out.
Okay.
So did we decide on the 14 or what's that?
Nope.
Can we put this at 7?
Well, we decided to bring it back at the Board of Commissioners meeting. We'll have a further discussion on that. That's on collection, so don't go away. Now on, transfer disposal. Yeah. I do have something in my craw on this one.
It's on the last one.
Well, I really didn't on the last one, other than the numbers. I'm truly kind of a dumb guy. It's a numbers game, and that I thought that we did a pretty thorough look last year, and obviously I wasn't up to speed. But on this one, the 12.5% reduction in hours, how do you still justify a 14% request for increase?
Because that's just the hours. That's not everything. That's not insurance. That's not fuel. That's not maintenance. That's an all-in figure.
In our discussion last year, operations and equipment were the two largest expenses that you had. And you just reduced that by 12.5% plus. And you're still asking for 14%.
Well, it's not a penny for penny or a dime for dime. I
Well,
mean,
truly,
mean-
that's right. You're right. Standard industry wise, a 12, every hour reduced is actually a 115% saving. So you're right.
well, I mean, even when we talked last year, we talked about, you know, we're gonna come back for the 15% plus CPI. After we ran the numbers, we came back at 14. So it is less than what we were asking because we did gain efficiencies.
You gain 1% efficiency with 12.5% reduction.
I don't even know if it's that high.
Just count the hours.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not equal.
Right.
The Lord's talking right now.
Very loud.
So the hours that we did reduce were our downtime hours, right? So we're still taking in the same tonnages. We have to get the same tonnages to the landfill. We're still just as busy, but it's just essentially those manpower. So it's not exactly a full 12.5% reduction in expense.
Remember, you're just a farm boy.
That's right. So if the industry average is a savings of 115% on each hour reduced, let's just call it even at 1:1. What did you save by reducing 12.5%?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Derek?
What was the question? I'm sorry. That's kind of hard, having trouble understanding what you guys are asking.
I'm sorry. What was saved by reducing the hours by 12.5% at the transfer station?
I'd have to fall back on Shana for that one. I don't know exactly. I mean, if you're asking the question like what's a unit of labor equivalent, which is I think what you're asking.
No,
I'd have.
I'm trying to get to how you can still ask for a 14% increase if you
Right.
reduce operations and service by 12, just over 12%.
I don't have that in front of me right now. I apologize.
I would all gamble and say that, you know, we're still under what our margins should be in our industry between that 8 and 12%. So I think that even with that 12% even speaks even more volumes to where we are with our margins.
And I don't like again, I don't want to go back to that discussion again, but going back through your numbers last year, we had it at 10% with the raise that we gave you last year.
That's not true. I'm sure that's what you're
exactly how I
remembering.
heard it and saw it.
Yeah.
And the calculations we did.
I think that you were hoping we were gonna get there and after we did everything and reran the numbers, it just did not land there.
So we're currently landing at a 1.5% EBIT with our refreshed data from January 25 to February 26, adjusted for the rate increase. So we're still, at least 7% below industry standard there. Even with the operational changes, operational savings, we've accounted for all of that within the rate model that we've done, and we're still falling below what a normal EBIT would be.
And I appreciate that. I just don't see those numbers, especially after we went through the ones we did last year. And again, I think that would even be an easier breakdown, look at for sure. But I'm not comfortable with 14% at all with the reduction in service.
What if we did 7% and then we tabled anything further this year until we came back with the third party's version?
That's still a heck of an increase. It's up. I mean, we'll have that discussion at the board meeting, but I'm willing to come up off of 3, but I don't know if I can get to 7. But we can discuss that again and then work together, I guess.
How long would it take to do the third part of your review?
It'll take time.
Well, how long is time?
I'm gonna say, Robert, Jason, probably 6 months, 7 months, if you can find someone.
If we can find somebody, I'd say you'd be lucky to get done, an audit done in a year.
In a year?
Because they've got schedules and, you know, most of the local CPAs, their schedule's full. They have either municipal audits or they have corporate customers or individual customers that take up most of that time.
Thank you.
There are industry-specific people who work in this industry that would be able to knock this out probably in a month or two. It's a fairly simple model when you're embedded in it and and that's all you do. There are people that are experienced in this line of work that should be able to knock it out pretty quick.
That's positive.
When's our next meeting, 17th? No, 15th.
Yeah, for tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Or Wednesday.
Yeah, today's Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Richford time. I should have known better.
It's on your dance card for Wednesday.
Next one after that's 5th August, I would.
Oh, I'd like to get something solved by this week, or, you know, if we can. I don't want to force something that isn't ready, but
We appreciate that.
I'll have to be on Zoom or Teams. I have a meeting with Stanfield on Wednesday.
10 on Wednesday.
9 a.m. Might as well get a hotel room.
Probably cheaper than the gas.
Thanks, you guys. Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, hold on. Any other questions from you guys?
Just a real stupid question on the recycle stuff, totally not related to what we're talking about, but I've got a bunch of neighbors in my neighborhood who are, thank God George isn't here to hear this. They're of the age where they don't do internet, they don't do Facebook, and they're trying to figure out what to put in the recycle thing. And I said, oh, it's online, and they look at me like I'm from Mars. Is there, because then I saw on Facebook that the Hermiston people got a bag that explained what the recycle does, but we didn't get anything.
I think we still have more of that material. I can get it to Bob and then you guys can get it to him. Do you know if Pelican's gonna be emailing anything at all? Or I didn't send anything. We can figure out, but we have some extra stuff. We also have our recycle coordinator that we just hired, Jessica, that I'm gonna be taking over to Pendleton this week to introduce her to Denise because she's gonna be part of that too. So there'll be some educational outreach to other parts of the county also.
Somebody suggested actually putting a QR code right on the can.
There is one.
Is there? Not on ours.
Check again.
I will.
I have one, but my neighbor has a flip phone.
Send out another flyer.
I think we will, because not everybody received it on their cart with their day of service or their week. And then we also mailed it out to.
I had to look online for mine.
Okay, we'll send out another mailer.
Yeah.
Then, that way everyone in the UGA gets those.
And then you'll also be getting a request from folks in the Mackay area. They want to establish their own area and get a rate from you.
That's be Denise's service target.
yeah.
Still Waste Connections, but just a heads up on that.
And we told them, you guys have to establish the boundaries and then bring them to us for the rates, whatever you establish.
And on something like that, would they still be the $8 a can?
I don't know. We'd have to look at it because if it's farther out from, that's why when we request.
That's what I told them, is you guys would have to establish a rate, bring it to us, to SWAC.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
All I did was cause you work.
No, well, look at this. Look at that. That is
The
blank.
next item is the agenda for the meeting.
So as mentioned previously, we've got a meeting on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. There's several items, including the two, that were just forwarded by the board for, solid waste that'll be on there. We've got a, public hearing for the PATH, CDBG project. A payable for IT for the controlled access fob system. We've
And
got,
which building's that for?
I think that that's a subscription for, the software for it, for the license for all
Okay.
the buildings.
Got it.
But Dan and I is really the one to speak on that, or Riley. We've got,
It's a support fee for the county's controlled access system, $57.50, which is $750 over a $5,000.
Yeah.
So.
I saw it. That's why I was asking where. Okay, sorry.
yes. And then, we've got a fair purchase that, I still need to get the document uploaded for its contract with, entertainment for the Fairy Young Band. Another fair purchase for, parking and ticket scanning, as items 4 and 5 right now. And then this will get restructured a little bit, to move some of those closer towards the end of the agenda. Item 6, I'm not sure will be on the agenda. For restrooms, that one may end up getting moved to the next meeting, but we're just kind of.
But is
They're
that,
still in the good show.
is that porta potties or is that like the trailer that has the bathrooms in it?
Porta potty.
I think it's just porta potties, but
And then there's a new service provider on spot on. Came in extremely low, so they were trying to compare.
Oh,
I'm not exactly sure what it's gonna entail. I had, essentially said that we needed to get 3 quotes on it because of the dollar amount when it came in. And so we're still working on that. If comes back before the meeting, it might be on there, but
They have, so you'll.
moving on, item 7 is authorization of an RFP for the, kitchen floor, I believe, in the jail.
is the kitchen person
Yeah.
gonna pay for that?
So there was some discussion about that. I'm not sure where that's at the moment. But without knowing what it's gonna cost, I think that might be a problem. I'm not sure.
It will be a problem. And it needs to, yeah, it needs to come back for sure. I'm glad to see it's RFP. But that brings up a question. When are they doing the floor downstairs?
Oh, I think that's kind of back on hold for a little bit. Are you talking about,
The floor downstairs of this building?
yeah, that's not on the schedule at this second.
It used to be at the top of the
I
schedule.
know.
Did we already do our review now?
Yeah,
No.
we didn't.
I say,
I thought that,
Director went up, but it's been put on hold and waiting. It just keeps getting bumped down in priority.
this whole building's gonna fall down before the priority list gets done. All right, sorry.
Speaking of downstairs, the next one's, purchase for, basement signs. Item 9 is, awarding RFP for bridge purchase for public works. Item 10 is, authorization of an ATV purchase.
And questions on this, why are we going with the highest bid?
That is a great question.
I have a call out that Roland, I just haven't heard back.
I had the same question, and kind of the explanation that I received was that it was someone that they had dealt with in the past. The items would arrive sooner and it would be less far to go get them from Peter's Toys as opposed to from Edge in Ontario. That was what I received.
No relatives involved, that's kind of a thing.
Yeah, that, I think that one needs a lot more discussion. Not only that, is this a reimbursable grant? Does anybody know?
The grant came through from, OPRD, and it's something that,
We have it on deposit, or is it reimbursable, or?
I'm not sure on that off the top of my head.
Do we, anybody have a copy of it?
I think that I do, and I can look into
Which
that.
bridge is this?
Kowski.
OPRD is paying for that?
Oh, I thought we're
We're
talking about two different things.
ATVs.
Oh, not the,
We can go back to the bridge if we want to talk about that.
We're on the ATV.
oh, okay, never mind. I thought you, okay, sorry.
No, OPRD is not paying for the bridge.
Dreaming over there.
Your
I-
snores.
I need, I'll talk to Roland too, but
We-
hopefully I'll talk to answer that. Yeah, that I struggle with that one,
Okay.
so.
Number 11 is a board payable for, July 4th concert. To Inland Northwest musicians. And then, 12 and 13 are the, nursing supervisor and nurse family partnership respectively. In addition to that, there will be another pinky from public health, for the school-based health center FT. That was,
Permissions.
that was discussed previously. Number 14 is a DD payable, and number 15 is a real estate agent RFP, for our foreclosure stuff. In addition to this, there's several other pinkies, that have come in relatively recently that I'm gonna need to get added. One of them is an emergency management grant, from Sage, and I haven't had a chance to look at that in depth yet. And there's a couple others I can't remember off the top of my head. Any questions about those rewards?
Yeah, if I could, just give a quick update. So as you know, we've been working on the process of establishing an enterprise zone out at the CDA property. And we held our required meeting with the taxing districts. That went really well. This Hermiston School District is currently working to establish their school support fee, and they meet tonight. And they'll draft a resolution and get that to me that I can include with the application. So once that's complete, the next step is for the county and the port to adopt resolutions establishing support of or adopting the enterprise zone. So because the school didn't meet till tonight, I don't have a pinky in, so it'll probably be the next meeting that I'll have that ready for you.
That like a 50-50, or do we know yet?
So as of now, yes, but those negotiations also happen when you're negotiating with the developer.
The other two that I have here, there might be more, but the two more are a letter of engagement with our auditor, will be on the agenda, as well as, a payable for the sheriff's office for Sunridge. That's what I've got for the.
Jennifer, anything?
No, thank you.
Doug? Jason?
And clarity about the 50-50, I mean, I know it's negotiable with the possible purchaser, but that's minus the 15% district, correct? Didn't they get 15%?
So the 15% would go to the state. So in my conversations with the district superintendent, she indicated that they'll likely pick the 15% for the school support fee. And then that will get sent to the state. I'd have to look. I believe that happens at year 6 of the agreement, but don't quote me on that.
That's 15% of the estate. How that works is the school district with the OED, Oregon Education, And the legislature set the per student base. That 15% just goes into that pool. Doesn't change the formula or anything. So it doesn't change what Hermiston gets or Umatilla gets or anybody gets. And so anything over out of that 15% actually goes back into the general fund. So there's no benefit to a school district to go up to the 30%.
For your question, Jason, was kind of when does that happen?
Well, I didn't know, for the remaining, based on John's question, is it 50-50 after what's remaining, or is it 50-50 after the
It'd be
15%?
after the schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's, at least as I understand, it's really a separate picture. So it's an enterprise zone, all the taxes are abated, but the school district is allowed 15% of whatever that abatement is.
Mhm.
So then it just reduces the savings that the developer had.
Mhm.
And then we negotiate with our co-sponsor for how we divide up what we can negotiate with the developer. But 15% is really kind of like taking the icing off the cake.
On the tax rate.
Good explanation.
Bob, do you have anything else to add?
I don't. I just wanted to get that on your radar.
Sure, Nick?
No, aside from on the ATV stuff, if the board wants to move that out so we can talk to Rowan, that's fine.
The board doesn't care if we until I talk to Ron.
That's fine.
I'm good.
Okay.
If there's an issue, you guys don't mind if I move it out a little?
I'm good making the meeting shorter. That's fine.
Okay. You guys want to chair me, Stephanie? Anybody need?
I have some comments and questions.
For today? Oh, did I skip you?
Yes, I think you did.
I apologize.
Okay, I need to use the restroom.
All right, well, I'll wait for you.
I
I'm
apologize.
sorry.
Skip drinking all that coffee.
I skipped somebody else last time.
Jennifer.
And I-
Let's skip
I had another clarifying question. When I submit, for example, the commitment to the auditor, is there a stated deadline?
Thanks, Bob.
Meaning, is there a place in time when the pinky will be considered at the next meeting in that? Is this the deadline? What is the deadline in terms of, should have I waited after it came in on Friday to not do a rush? Meaning, is there a procedure that is in place to keep us from voting on things that the Board of Commissioners meeting that haven't had time to be on this? I don't know what the deadline is.
Thursday before.
So in that case, it should have waited. I just submit it and then normally it waits till the next meeting.
Yeah, the official is Thursday before, although frequently there are things that come in that are, oh no, we need to get this approved.
Well, and in that case, I didn't get it until Friday. So that's what I was trying to figure out. So normally then they would wait before that until after they started basically. Because they're starting the first of all.
So,
They don't give it to me until Friday.
so I would say historically, that has not been a hugely time-sensitive issue.
In terms of submitting.
And I'd say pinkies, the reason for the deadline is exactly what you said, is it's really nice to vet some items before you take them to an open board meeting, which, if they show up too shortly before the meeting, then there's no chance to have that discussion.
Right.
And quite honestly, I think some of them were submitted incomplete, and Doug and Nick would have to scramble even if they got them Friday. The letter representation to the auditors is a pretty canned document, and there's not really a lot of preparation to say. But technically speaking, Nick or Doug could have decided to just wait till the following meeting to discuss it.
Or I can communicate with them to say this is after the deadline of Thursday. I just want to know when the hard pass deadline.
I have been sending out a reminder email on Wednesday to please submit by Thursday. Somehow was not on my calendar last week and I just sending that out last week, so I apologize, but you are in that group. It's all managers. So typically the Monday before they're due, I send out a reminder to please submit that.
Sorry.
Ready? Yep. So first of all, about, the sanitary disposal issue. I guess it was good to hear that they have accountants that actually do audits for this for the industry and that it could be done quickly. I honestly am not sure how much good that does us compared to the SWAC. And I guess that's just a really difficult place to be, when someone says, this is what it costs me, and you dispute that. That seems like not a good place to be. If you can't take their word for it, I think that's difficult. And really lovely term, reasonable rate of return. What is a reasonable rate of return? According to the contract, is it stated as 8 to 12%, or is there's no rate in there? So I don't know what if it comes back that they should raise their rates 20%, like he said. If it comes back higher, what do you do? I don't know if it comes back. So I just think those are, you start asking those questions, you kind of have to consider what the answers are going to be and what the cost is going to be. It's not going to be cheap. Also think probably you need to consider the impact of multiple increases a year to your customers versus one time a year. So I think that's what I have to say about that. Nick, if you could, or Doug, could you tell me the past C multiple alphabet soup grant? Could you tell me what that's for? Is that closing the current one?
The CDBG.
CDBG grant?
Right, it's the final public hearing for it, meaning the project is wrapped up.
So it's closing. Okay, so you're not, so there's not another one in the works.
No.
Well, there are, but not this one.
Okay.
My understanding is that it's comment on county's performance and that sort of thing. It's closing it up.
The contract for the fair for the band. I don't know that I saw that, but is it the $40,000 one?
Give me just a second. I think it's close to that. I don't think it's that exact amount.
So,
45.
yeah. So I'm gonna make this comment. I've made this comment a lot of times over the years, but I understand the desire to have a popular entertainer at the fair, but there's no possible way that they can bring enough money through the gate to pay for that. And I think they've done better in that regard in the last couple of years, but I do think that's just a lot of money to spend on an entertainer for not much return. Question about basement signs. What's up with that?
So that's authorization of a purchase for, give me just a second so I can answer your last question here real quick. I think it's 35,000. I haven't taken a look at the new contract, but the original one I received was that for the BLM band stuff. When it comes to the basement signs, my understanding is that we received 3 quotes with different, or went out to try to get 3 quotes from different sign companies in the area to standardize kind of the signs downstairs in the basement. We have some quotes back from admin services to put the board. That's my understanding.
Okay.
The signs for?
I said that the contract for fair entertainment was $35,000.
Oh, okay, I thought that's, you know, like, that wasn't what I saw on the signs.
No, it's not.
The courthouse basement signs don't match.
Well, they're haphazard for sure. I mean, as far as
Like the way they developed.
They matched the floor.
mimeograph. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention was, public health positions. I think Joe and Alicia did a really good job of presenting that, and I think there's great value in that. However, as I've said more recently several times, we have to start thinking about contracting our budget, not expanding our budget. And it's obvious that one of those is going to require a fairly substantial input in general fund dollars. And so I think it becomes time to start thinking about where does that money come from? And I don't mean what other program. I mean, I think you have to start thinking about personnel. You just can't continually expand personnel and expect to continue to operate without paying.
To answer the question on the signs, the amount was $69.80.
Thank you.
Yep.
On the signs, when I click the link, it goes to the key fob.
Yeah. I gotta update the agenda.
Thanks, Robert. Those are all important comments. Anybody else? Comments? Second time now?
I will be going to NACO on Thursday and I'll be back on the 22nd. So.
Yeah.
Lots.
Cindy? Nothing? Anybody else? Last time. Meeting adjourned.